And it is my pleasure to welcome in the CEO of LogicMark, Chia-Lin Simmons. Just great to be with you today. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Dan. It's great to be here with you as well.
Yeah, great to see you again. We saw you at one of our great conferences. So let's talk about LogicMark. Give us an overview of LogicMark, Chia-Lin.
Sure. LogicMark is a company that's been around since 2006, and we are in the personal safety space. And so we develop great technology for both sort of helping the elderly, but also providing personal safety for everyone.
Yeah, when you look at how your devices work, let everyone know how that works and what makes them stand out in the field right now.
Sure, that's a really great question. So look, I mean, medical alerts has never been something that people consider to be super sexy. Let's be honest, right? It's the I fall and I can't get up kind of business. But we really entered this business so that we can actually create really amazing technology that's going to just blow that kind of old concept out of the skies, right? So we've been around for, as I mentioned, since 2007. I joined the company in 2021, coming out of some, I would say pretty cool tech companies such as Google and Amazon. And my job has been to basically create some amazing technology to really transform this business, much like, in the way we used to all be really happy with our Motorola Razors, and then the iPhone came along, right? So, recently we actually created something that's called Freedom Alert Max. And so that's really blowing the idea of medical alerts right out of the water. It's a device that literally has amazing fall detection, geofencing for people who have memory care or Alzheimer's issues. And we can continue to add services on top of services for those folks who are in need of it. And it's the easiest to use smartphone. And let's be honest, nobody's mom and dad actually wants to wear something that looks like an old person's device. It's really cool and sleek. And it's a really cool little smartphone that actually is really a PERS device in disguise.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of my dad, he would love to still use a flip phone, but you got to look towards the future, Chia-Lin. And how has the launch of the Freedom Alert Max been so far?
It has been fantastic. I've got to tell you, people have, really, really loved the product. We are hearing back from not just the consumers, but also our other partners, such as the Veterans Administration. Folks are really interested in what we're doing. I think that, in the world that we're living in today, people really want to your point, your dad wanting an easy to use cell phone. This is super easy as you can get, but also a device that keeps them safe and healthy. And so, the product actually links to apps so that you can actually make sure that you can actually, make sure your parents are safe. And so if something in an emergency happens, it'll actually allow you to basically check in via video, live streaming video. And so who doesn't want something like that to say like, oh my gosh, my dad is on the ground and I need to get him help as soon as possible.
No, that is fantastic. And we all want to check in on our parents and loved ones. And that's such a cool thing that you guys have launched. Let's talk, Chia-Lin, about your Q3 report. Can you give us a rundown and what are the highlights?
Yeah. So, until recently, in the last 3 years, or actually the last year even, we actually have been a hardware-only company. And so we actually have maintained an excellent margin business, and that was above 60%. And so I'm very proud to say that, since the time that we've been here, since 2021, the margin has been 67, 68%, and we've maintained that in Q3. And also in Q3, we saw an increase in our revenue. And so we have been taking the company from being sort of a business to government sort of business in hardware only to being a company that is not just a hardware and government business, but actually selling into B2B, as well as our sort of new B2C model. And most importantly, we are actually doing SaaS modeling. And so that means that we are not just selling the hardware, but actually bringing recurring services subscription to customers. And so if you can imagine, everybody loves SaaS, right? And so that recurring model is fantastic. And so for our business, according to our industry organization, it's a 36-month LTV. That's much, much better than your typical sort of music service or consumer sort of box. And so we actually typically have a 36-month LTV is, what the industry shoots for. And we're the kind of business that's not just a sort of one-shot only type of subscription business as well. So you get your base product of $34.99 with monitoring and 24/7 US-based monitoring service. But then if you want fall detection, it's additional $9.99. We want geofencing and is another $9.99 on top of that. So we aim to provide additional services that is a multi-layered revenue stream off of every customer. And so, when our sort of concept is that, look, at the end of the day, customers have a lot of different needs and they want to package them up differently, maybe not memory care, but fall detection or vice versa. And so it gives us the opportunity to sort of provide that to the customer, but also for investors and for the company to bring in additional revenue streams where it's needed.
Absolutely. And listen, all investors love when companies can reduce costs and boost margins. How are you working to reduce costs and boost those margins? What about your sales, and how is LogicMark expanding there?
Sure. So, we have, maintained a 67, 60% sort of margin for the company. And so that is actually fantastic. And as we start sort of growing our recurring subscription business, we'll have a blended sort of hardware plus subscription business, which has a much larger margin. And so we expect to maintain that and hopefully grow that as well. Revenue has been growing. And reduction of costs has been happening. We've done the majority of our R&D in the past 3.5 years, right? So we are now in a growth mode where we're just focused on revenue and opening new channels to sales. And so it's a pretty exciting time to be part of the company as well. So, and that's, 18 patents later, right?
Yeah,
So we've been really busy in the last 18 months. So
definitely a good place to be in.
so yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's exciting times. And I know, Chia-Lin, you recently initiated a reverse stock split. How did that end up going? And are you still in compliance with the NASDAQ?
Yes, we are. It went well, and we are still in compliance with the Nasdaq. And we've actually had folks who are former investors come back to join us, as well as amazing new investors as well as part of that. And so, in recent raises, and so the reverse stock split went well, and we are in full compliance. So.
That's great news. And do you expect any changes in the regulatory environment that would impact LogicMark under the new administration that's coming in January?
Oh boy, you know what, Dan? Your guess is as good as mine.
I like guessing too sometimes.
Yes, and so my job is not to guess, of course. Look, we are fully prepared for as much as we can. COVID has taught us a lot. I came in as a COVID CEO at a company that was in a little bit of a distress, as you may know. And so we've actually been sort of taking care of things like supply chain integrity issues, moving manufacturing from different locations, for example, out of China. So that's actually been helpful for us. As we know, we don't know what the regulatory tariff situations look like in the new administration. And so, we are a small micro cap company in a NASDAQ, and we are actually as prepared as possible for dealing with things like supply chain and tariffs, right? So.
Well, two very exciting times ahead. I know you got a lot of great stuff going on. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Chia-Lin. Thank you so much for your time, and happy holidays.